Greeting interwebs, it's Jackie K, and welcome for another edition of Pokémon XG Next Gen. Last time, we went to Cypher's Key Lair, the Shadow Pokémon Factory that was wrecked by yours truly. And in the process, the main team of Purified Pokémon got so underleveled, I was forced to use exclusively Shadow Pokémon on the boss. So, as we prepare for the final showdown in the final dungeon, I might rectify that, as well as look into an interesting start to the episode. An interesting occurrence of, well, just see what happened when I was trying to leave this place for yourself. Roar. Well, that's new. I think that was a raccoon? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. It's a good thing I haven't ended off the recording yet, because this guy usually updates with some new dialogue with Dragonite and all that, but I guess they decided to do something a little different. I'm not lying, I swear, I saw it. It ran away, but it'll probably return soon. I wonder if the other two beasts are around already too. But it's kind of random for a random Raikou just to go up to a building, say hi, and then run off. I get that it's kind of limiting in the mod, but I kind of wonder if there'd be a different way to implement it. I wonder if that's just a really bad hint, implying that now they might just show up in Pokespots, because I was half expecting a boss fight coming out of here. So, the roaring was supposedly in the lair itself, so I'm gonna just come back in here real quick and just see if that somehow triggers a Raikou cutscene or whatever. It'd be cool if we could actually see the Raikou instead of just have a roar text off screen, but limitations are limitations, I suppose. Also, minor grammar nitpick. I wonder if the other two legendary beasts are around already too. On its own, the exclamation point is fine, but leading off of a kind of lowers the tone to the point where I would think a period would be more appropriate. But I'm no grammar major, if you couldn't tell by my mere existence. Was that even a thing you could do? Well, it's not, because it's not in the lair from what I could see. So could you really add new wild Pokemon to the Pokespots? After a certain story flag? Because if that's possible in the Pokemon XD modding scene, I'd be impressed. This is actually still the same recording as the successful attempt against the last boss. Well, I was gonna purify Pokemon, but PvP is the thing, so yeah, this is all one recording. Until just now, where I'm gonna just stop the recording right here. Cool, he's hanging out at Regulum Tower again. You know what? We will get to him, but while I'm here, let's at least check out a few of the Shadow Pokemon. Get a moment to see them in their fully purified state. Gives me a moment to rehydrate myself while I'm reacting to them. Let's start with whatever's in here, even though I know it's not even even the smallest portion of everything that we have to purify. It's already been removed from the box. This just happened to purify itself on my way out. I don't even think we really messed around with Armando. Of course that's first impression. I keep forgetting that that's one of the moves. Oh! My god, if my team wasn't already as stacked as it was. That's a fantastic combination of purified moves, if I ever seen it. I got a name for you, friend. Something seems different about you, by the way. Maybe it's just because I'm messing around with these graphical settings so much, trying to figure out a way to actually do the recording off the Steam Deck without everything blowing up. I'll make a lower case later if I actually use the Pokemon. Shell Prime, because like the Shell Smash and the Rollout. Is that too old of a reference? Oh! Damage is the full based on the user's... I was gonna say, what's the difference? But it's both Pokemon. Like a team-wide Psychic Toss? Okay, I don't got my eyes open on that. Kinda lucky it's never actually triggered on my end, cause that would completely obliterate the Intimidate strats I was going for. Right, Belly Drum. Hunter and Flint Chance. I was gonna just bring out the full team, but then I remember I never settled on a 6-member yet, so... Figure we might as well take the strongest Shadow Pokemon to carry us until everyone else gets up in level. And then after we take care of Mirror B, I'll come back and purify the rest. Don't want to keep him waiting too long after all. Not a bad move set. Not one that really sticks out to me either though. Oh, this is gonna be a big one because we used the Lapras quite a bit in our run for the key lair. I'm actually more curious how many levels it'll get over what it actually learned. But I swear, if it gets Shell Smash 2 just to try and make it fancy. Freeze Dry. Okay, that fits with the theme of the other moves learned. Oh, Dragon Dance. Screw Shell Smash. Just Dragon Dance instead. And it's been around with us enough to earn a name, but do I spell Lyra with an IA? Or just the A? It looks better with the A, so I'll just leave it like that for now. Yeah, I was gonna take that time in between recordings to actually mess around with settings a bit. But like, nah, screw it, that requires too much finaling, and I just wanna sit in and I just want to do the recording while I'm feeling up to it. A little bit of a risk to try to do 2 recordings this close, because I need... I definitely feel like I'm cutting out way more than I used to out of the videos, because it definitely feels like I'm been in the need to record more often. Because part of the reason why I'm doing this recording session was I really want to finish off the boss fight, because I just started editing that episode, even though I didn't even finish the boss fight yet. And then there's the Lost Age randomizer stuff, where I just did a stream last week, and I'm already running out of stuff to edit for that video series, so I'm not sure if I'm just really far ahead in the video backlog. I hope that's the case, but I kind of have my suspicions that the actual case is that I'm just cutting out more from the videos because there's less going on in the action. Like, a couple episodes back of Pokémon XG was a good example. There's a couple short episodes in Cypress Key Lair, but I swear to you that they were pretty long recordings in themselves. There's an infamous example where I know one of them, the recording was like 50 minutes long, and I somehow edited it down to almost less than 25 minutes of video. And I don't know, like, I guess I'm gonna have to figure out if that's a healthy rate to keep up with when it comes to editing and uploading, because I do want to still leave time to work on projects in the midst of things. So, maybe I should save this rambling for when I'm actually doing the gameplay, and not during this part that I could just easily cut out and edit around, but we gotta get these Pokemon purified eventually. And if something cool comes from the movesets, I know I want to share it with y'all. But we won't know until we actually purify the Shadow Pokemon, and it's not instantaneous, as you can see from this 5-minute plus cutscene for each one that comes out of the Purification Chamber. And we got a lot of Shadow Pokemon from that lair. Well, speaking of movesets, so that's an interesting one. Like, I should want to double check his ability, because that moveset seems like it was made for an unburdened Hitmonlee. I don't think the Hitmonlee was unburdened, but I'm pretty sure it's an ability it can normally have. So we definitely have the tools to make it an unburdened Hitmonlee if I actually want to use it. That being said, I can't believe we've gone this long without me settling in on a 6th and final team member. It's not too unusual, because typically how I play XD is I run 5 Pokemon and then swap around Shadow Pokemon along the way. But usually I at least have someone that would play that 6th slot. Heck, more modern Pokemon games, I technically have more of a team of like a couple dozen, and then I just like, well, maybe a couple dozen's too many, but like turns out to be more of a team of 10 than a team of 6, and I just rotate the one, because I can't narrow it down to 6, and I just rotate them in and out of the party as I feel appropriate. It's just some rambling food for thought. And I think we've had so many intense battles for so long. Wait, Walrein can learn Aurora Veil? It wouldn't be too shocking considering its type, but I've never actually seen a Walrein with Aurora Veil before. Granted, this mod takes inspiration from the liberties that XD takes with the Gen 3 move slot, so maybe that's new for the mod. But I was definitely not expecting it all the same. So yeah, there's definitely way more Shadow Pokemon that we have to purify. A whole box load. And this is just of the ones that we actually can use at the current state in time. Or that we could purify at the same time. If we include all the ones that we still have to work the purification down on, that's a whole other story. So I was gonna save the other Pokemon for later, but you know, I figured screw it. Let's get it all done here, that way if people really don't want to see this screen over and over as I just ramble on about things, they can just skip ahead and don't have to worry about skipping more later. Bit of a shame, because it feels like I've been so fixated on battling. So why did I say that when I was trying to say focus? I'm so focused in the moment of just trying to survive the battles that I don't really know if I've had that great of commentary as of late. It feels like there's a bunch of excuses to jump between, like being tired and being focused on the game, and huzzah, I actually remember to hit no for once when the game prompted me to nickname a Pokemon that I didn't care about nicknaming. It is what it is. I guess if nothing else, I'm a matter of trying to narrow down who I want the last team member to be. That way I can more freely, like, put whoever's be a bit more experimental with Shadow Pokemon by being able to swap out any one of the team members for them, rather than just use the Shadow Pokemon that has the best team composition with all the permanent members of the team. And for a little bit, I thought I had a solid candidate. I didn't mention it, but I was kind of impressed by the fact that it had Spiky Shield. It's enough in character, and it does give another purpose for Cloyster. I wonder, is Spiky Shield still a signature move of the chest pin line in the main series games? Because I'm struggling to think if they added anything. Like, Spiking Shield was already on the verge of the part of Pokemon that I stopped having memorized. So if they added Spiky Shield to even more Pokemon since the release of the move, then I am definitely out of the loop with that. Think like, feels like my memory with Pokemon really starts getting shaky after the 5th generation. It's like, I don't want to say I stopped caring about Pokemon after 3D, because there are exceptions like the first Sun and Moon games. But I definitely feel a combination of hitting my threshold of what my brain was willing to try to remember, and a slow decline of my interest in Pokemon, at least of the main series stuff, around that point. I feel like Ultra Sun and Moon was, I feel like I said it before, and I really shouldn't keep repeating it, but it feels like Ultra Sun and Moon was kind of the points where I stopped. That was like the lowest point of Pokemon for me. Not the worst games of the series, not even the games that I had the most issues with, but the jump from the way the narrative was in Sun and Moon to how they shifted in Ultra Sun and Moon, I don't know. Like, the whole reason I cared about Sun and Moon was Lily's arc, and they butchered that to the point that I just couldn't really care about all the neat stuff they were doing with the Ultra Beast. And I'll leave it at that, because I'd rather leave those sorts of conversations in the parts of the video that people aren't going to watch. False alarm, we have one more. I swear this is the last one, though. At least I 99% swear. Moonblast. Like a Sorphin theme, it's kind of weird to give to a poison ground type, though. Oh yeah, I mean, it does evolve with a Moonstone. You can't say there's zero correlation between Nidoqueen and the Moon. Alright. Mirror Beast cronies are still here. Joey want to win the challenge. Better try it later. I think is it just my imagination, or did they have different dialogue from the last time I was here? And I would say that I'm actually prepared this time for inevitably running out of conversation topics by having some conversation topics on my phone, but a list of all the conversation topics in the world can't save me from myself if I can't even do the whole speaking thing properly. Cause yeah, I'm gonna talk through this. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I'll make the Purification stuff just its own little bonus episode. And I can't tell if it's just my eyes playing tricks on me, or if everything actually seems worse than at the start of this data recording session. I even took time in between here and making my way to the Coliseum to mess around with a few settings without going back on the stuff that I could have sworn was making the processor run harder. I was gonna heal up, but I get the feeling that's got like a Guts Facade combo going, and I want nothing to do with that. I'd rather take my chances roosting up on the next Pokemon. So I was going to bring up some Pokemon topics, but I gotta double check. I think they were a little too down for the mood. So not sure if this is any better, but I'm going to talk about the state of the Donkey Kong Country franchise at the moment. Well, when I say franchise, I mean the series. I'll admit I haven't actually watched the Mario movie, so I'm not really too familiar with how the Kongs actually played out in that. I don't know, I'm not really a big Mario person. It's kind of weird with how Nintendo affiliated, or definitely not affiliated. I crushed any possibility of that possibility eons ago. But for how focused I tend to get with Nintendo when it comes to playing games, you'd be surprised how uninterested I actually am with the Mario series. Like Mario and Zelda, the big two, maybe it's because they're so big. that my hipster little brain or whatever just can't stand the thought of actually liking them, but they never really clicked with me. Actually, I think I did talk a little bit about why. The whole concept that I did grow up with the Donkey Kong Country series, and not the Mario series. Like, I did play Mario games growing up, at least a few of them. Like, when I say a few of them, I might have played Mario World, but I'm pretty sure most of my time playing Mario World was with the Game Boy Advance release. And god, this Gardevoir is just kicking my butt. Fantastic. But yeah, for 2D platformers, I play Donkey Kong Country. For some reason, Kid Me never even got around to playing 2 or 3 until they were released on the Game Boy Advance. And for N64 games, like the most I played Super Mario 64 growing up, sorry, there was all those different shadow moves and I had to make sure I didn't choose the wrong one. Kind of funny how I went here subconsciously just because of how much higher level it is, and the whole point of trying to use my party in this Coliseum is to try to get everyone else some experience. Kinda hard to not to fall back on the guy that's super effective against everyone. Let's see, this should Funland and kinda generate. Either you could probably squeeze in here at least. Let's give that a shot. But yeah, like, I feel like I've hit the song dance a ton of times, but to reiterate for the audience, I did not play Mario. For 2D platformers, it was Donkey Kong Country. For 3D platformers, it was DK64. I actually prefer DK64 over Super Mario 64. And that's a hill that I will not admit to all the time, but it's a hill that if I had to fight on, I would die on. I've had enough bad experiences. That's what I get for not liking 64, I guess. I've had enough bad experiences with Mario 64. God, and that's my only grass move. Why? One, why does that count as a bullet? Just because it's a round seed? Two, why do you have that ability? I guess I could Dry Punch till I win, but that's still a stretch. Whoa. You need experience just as much as Funland, I suppose. Actually, Funland needs that experience way more than you, but it's being divided, so it's fair. Like, I know Blastoise's Mega Form gets an ability that boosts bullet-like moves like Aurora Spear and stuff like that, but I'm pretty sure that's a different name. God, like, this Blastoise has an answer for everything I can throw at it. Where was I though? Last thing I recall was getting brutally murdered for not liking Mario 64. Oh yeah, like, I think it's safe to say that I'm not nostalgic for Mario. I respect it for what it's done towards the console company that literally all my other favorite franchises or IPs are on. But Mario games themselves don't really click with me the same way. I think part of it just boils down to the fact that I grew up with Donkey Kong Country games, so trying to play a Mario one feels a little bit inferior at times. There are exceptions, like I did play Mario World on the Game Boy Advance, and I also, not like I go back to it, but I did have a good time playing it when I did. And I have played Zelda games, but they're not really games that I go out of my way for. Like, I played them more as a kid than I do as an adult, and even the ones that I played as a kid are pretty limited and few and far in between. Alright, give me a moment. I kind of want to shift the focus on the reason we're here. Ugh. And actually, why do I have this lead? This is like the worst possible lead to go around with. But the point is, like, I know Tail Swift can't stay out here, and I'd like to get my Breloom out here to take care of the Swampert, if nothing else. So, no more experience for Congenerate for a little bit. And I guess Mirabee's gonna help me out with that. I was gonna say, if you survive this, you're a champ. Congratulations, Congenerate. You just got the championship belt. Yeah, I could probably list all the Zelda games that I've played on a single hand. So let's see, there was A Link to the Past. It was technically, I was first introduced to it way back on the Super Nintendo, but it was definitely not one I owned, and I kind of lost interest in it fast. I did come back around to Link to the Past when it was released on the Game Boy Advance. And if I had to pick a favorite Zelda game, that probably would be my favorite, so it's kind of weird how that works in the grand scheme of things. Because, like, it sets the impression that I had for Zelda for the rest of the series, but it's also my... And you would think that would not be in a positive light with my indifference towards Zelda. But if I had to pick a favorite Zelda game, it probably would be my favorite. Let's see, like, I rented Wind Waker, I believe, but I don't really have any memories beyond actually renting it. Never played Ocarina of Time, never played Majora's Mask. So let's just get the big gaffes out of the way. What else did I play in the Zelda series? I know I played Four Sword, but I'm trying to think if I played... You know why I think I might... Part of the reason why I have positive affiliations with specifically the Game Boy version of The Link to the Past? And I'm sure part of it is because Link to the Past is a solid game, and I appreciated the little novelties that the GBA port added, like the Link sound effects. But a big thing of it was that I had the luxury of actually playing a little bit of the Four Sword Adventure mode. And it's one of those things, like, I couldn't play by my multiplayer experiences too. I try to keep personal stuff out of my commentary, so I'm not gonna list any names, but it's worth noting that, like, that was how I was actually able to be one of the few people to experience the Golden Sun multiplayer, and that's how I had my experiences with A Link to the Past. And it was kind of weird to look back on, because there was definitely a bit of an age difference at the time, and trying to find a balance, especially with Golden Sun, trying to find a balance with him just completely obliterating me and just letting me win. I recall not really being happy with either of those scenarios. So, like, I in hindsight, definitely feel a little pity for trying to have to find that middle ground, but it was nice to actually be able to experience those games. Which is just adding more to the giant cell pile of why it's taking for freaking ever for them to put Golden Sun on GBA NSO. And it's gonna be worse because they have not even laid a hint that they're doing Lost Age in a similar fashion. Like, it'd be blasphemous for them not to. So I'm probably worrying over nothing, but, like, not to, like, go on a completely different tangent, but we're talking about Golden Sun NSO. I can't get the rails back. The train's already gone off track, and it's enraged. Golden Sun is a game where your experience could be drastically different if you don't play the Lost Age after it. You've probably heard at this point you've probably heard the lore by now of how once upon a time in development, Golden Sun 1 and 2 were going to be one video game, but there wasn't enough room on the GBA card, so it was divided between two separate games. Just to add on to that, they did their best, but there's still problems with the way they divided it. Like, Golden Sun 1 ends off on a bit of a cliffhanger. A lot of people don't like the story of Golden Sun 1, and I don't blame them, because the whole reason that story works is because all of Golden Sun 1 is just setting things up for the sequel, at least from a story standpoint. So yeah, if you played Golden Sun 1 and never played the sequel, I don't blame you for thinking that the story sucks. Even though I would argue that it's a story I like, I fully acknowledge that the whole thing that makes it work is already having the knowledge of what happens in the second game. And it sucks. They really need to both be one game at some point in time, because that alone would fix a good chunk of the issues that those two Golden Sun games have. It definitely wouldn't fix. It'd be far from all of the issues, of course, but hopefully that whole rampage wasn't too big of an issue. But yeah, I take it very personally that they had the gall to announce Golden Sun 1 for NSO and not even hint that Lost Age was coming after. Some would argue that, well, it's obviously they're both going to come eventually, so why would they waste the time releasing them both? Let me remind you all that they barely took the time to even announce Golden Sun 1 was coming. They just snuck it at the end of that GBA teaser. GBA release announcement. And I mean, I'm happy that they're acknowledging the series in any shape or form, but it makes me terrified to think about the fact that a whole new generation of people will be introduced to the game without the context of the sequel. And I think that's all I got on that. Besides, I had a really good thing going with history with Game Boy Advance multiplayer, and it got completely off-railed by Golden Sun. I mean, you know what my most popular video on the channel at the time is. You know what I do a lot here. Well, maybe I'm being a little too presumptuous by saying that, but yeah, like, I don't shy away from Golden Sun here. It's kind of slowly becoming the channel's identity. Wasn't I just saying that Con Generate did not need any more experience? It's good to know that my type matchups are at a point that is completely subconscious. I suppose that's at least a good thing. But yeah, existential crisis of Golden Sun aside, it was really nice to actually experience that multiplayer, and I would love to experience that multiplayer again. But it would be also nice to actually experience in Lost Age, where there's more summons and the battling in that game feels a bit more full. For obvious reasons of being a sequel of a game that was divided up from one initial game in the first place. But yeah, Four Sword Adventures. Oh, you know what? That was my opportunity to get literally anyone else in the lead to get some experience, and I completely ignored it. But we're fine, we're almost at the end. Yeah, I actually was able to play through the whole multiplayer campaign of Four Sword Adventure back on the GBA because, for reasons I stated earlier, and that was a fun little experience in and of itself. So I'm real appreciative of family for making that possible in the first place. No, I remembered how we got into that tangent in the first place, and not sure if I feel a little too ashamed to go back. Might as well just get out of the system before it's all over though. So, what else in the Zelda series have I actually played? The very small list that's so small I need to have a metaphorical magnifying glass just to remember. Well, I was hoping I outspeed so I wouldn't have to worry about the poison move, but good to know I never had to worry about the poison move. But I swear. Okay, back in my mind I was kind of wondering if I get frozen for whatever reason. But yeah, it's like Link to the Past, Twilight Princess. Those might actually be the only two Zelda games that I've played from beginning to end. Hold on, this is a big moment. It's like... This is a significant upgrade to Body Slam, but... I don't like I tend to not like recoil moves, and... The paralyzation side effect does have its benefits, i.e. Breloom, Funlin, fainting and having no other means of inflicting paralyzation or sleep on the foe. Choices. It is literally stronger than anything else I have. I'll give it a go. Worst case scenario, I can relearn it. We're gonna get plenty of battle points, cause yeah. We're well overdue to a trip to Mount Battle anyways. I'll take any experience I get from this place along the way. But I know it's not gonna be everything. Oh, speaking of, no, I was gonna say perfect opportunity to try out our Double Edge. But I almost forgot that Fairy was a thing. But yeah, I mentioned like the rental stories with... Forgot about like the 90% accurate chance. Yeah, I mentioned the rental thing already, but I can't think of... I'm sorry? I can't think of any other Zelda games that I've even played. Oh, and of course you got the Focus Sash. Why wouldn't you? You know what, let's just get out here. She needs experience next. Might as well. Yeah, if you couldn't tell from how much I was struggling to remember everything, my Mario and Zelda experiences are pretty limited for a Nintendo fan. But again, like, when you grow up with Donkey Kong, and not Zelda, you kinda get kinda salty when you go about, like, how long's it been since Tropical Freeze? Feels like 10 years, but I have to be over-exaggerating. We'll say 10 to make us all feel old, though. Been a hypothetical 10 years since the last Donkey Kong Country game, and we're not gonna get one for a long time because the only studio that Nintendo trusts with the IP is making Metroid. It's just kind of ironic that like Metroid is this underrated series that's just finally finding its audience and getting into the spotlight. And all I can think about is that how it feels like it comes at the cost of one game series that I actually care about. I have tried to get into a Metroid game. Recently, like, I tried Super Metroid on NSO, but I think I got too lost in the first room. Well, no, not the first room, because I did get the Morph Ball, but there's so many hidden paths that I just couldn't figure out where to go from there. It's a shame, because I was thinking about one day doing a blind playthrough of some sort of Metroid game, but, like, if I'm struggling this much to make even the slightest amount of progress in a Metroid game, it probably wouldn't be that fun to watch, so I'm glad I eventually caved and just tried it on my own time. I don't know, I just tend to not... Games that I can easily get lost in just tend not to click with me. Probably why I've felt like I've pushed back on the whole open world thing more than others. And like I've wanted to get into the Metroidvania format, but it seems like every time I've done so, it hasn't really worked out in my favor. Like, I'm not sure which came first, Kirby's Amazing Mirror, or the very first time I tried Metroid Prime at a family member's place. But whichever the case may be, it was not a solid first impression. It just felt like I was getting lost way too much, and it's kind of what turned me off from Halo, ironically enough. I'm not sure. Okay, thanks for the Life Orb, I'm not sure if I need it, but sure. But yeah, it's like, I don't even know if I would say I get lost easily in video games, but if it's a game that I can get lost in, it's very easy for me not to like it. That's what it boils down to. It also kind of sullied my impressions of first-person shooters because Halo multiplayer mass was the only thing that they would let the Xbox Club would let us play. Like, it was, they should have just called it the Halo Club, but they called it the Xbox Club. So I went through all the trouble borrowing an Xbox controller to get into this clubs because it was the only way to actually play video games with other people for me. Remember, this was back when I was in like high school, if not middle school, so the internet didn't exist yet. So this is my only way to play games with other people. And I was so excited about playing. It was an Xbox Club, so I was excited about playing a variety of games. But guess what? Every time they would play Halo, it always play Halo, and I would just run around, get lost, until someone shot my head off. Slight exaggeration, but the head shooting part, the lost was very, very, very bad, and not exaggerating the slightest. I just didn't have fun with that stuff, and I just would love to play other games, but everyone wanted to play Halo. Okay, I'll have to continue this another time. I feel like I've told the Halo story. That's the general gist of the Halo story. But this is way too much commentary for non-gameplay action. Why couldn't I have gotten into this when I was actually doing intense stuff, but didn't... Where were these tangents when I needed them back in Cyber's Key Lair? Point being, this seems like a good point to end things off. So thank you all for tuning in for this edition of Pokemon XG Next Gen. I'll be honest with you all I know is that next episode we're not progressing the plot. Exactly what we're doing is still a little up in the air. Maybe we'll visit Mount Battle. Maybe we'll try to figure out what the heck the mod is implying with this Raikou sub-arc. Whatever it may be, I hope to see you all next time. Take care.